Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another week on Diet in the Digital Age. My name is Delaney, and this week we are going to be focusing on diet culture within traditional media. Up until now, our main focus has been on social media and social networking sites such as Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you name it. But as I shared in my first video that I posted on this channel, diet culture is not a new thing. It's just evolved to exist most frequently in the media that we consume the most as a society, which at this point in time is typically social media. As usual, we'll start off with defining some key terms. The first one being traditional media. Now, this can include things such as television, film, music, radio, newspapers, and magazines. In an article by Jennifer Ann Valencia titled, "What is Traditional Media? A Comprehensive Introduction," she states that the main characteristic of traditional media is one-way communication, in which information flows from the sender to the recipient with no feedback from the latter. This is in contrast to new media or social media channels, as an example. This is defined by two-way communication in which recipients can provide feedback to the sender. So there's something being put out and something can come back. This is an important distinction that I didn't fully recognize at first. When doing my research, I sort of thought of traditional media as just something of the past, which it's not. Obviously, we still listen to music, we still watch movies and TV, we read magazines, we read newspapers. That key distinction is between the communication. With things like social media, there is that two-way street of communication, meaning we can post something and others can comment on it, they can like it, they can share it. There's an open level of communication that can exist both ways. With traditional media, communication is only flowing in one direction, from the media to us, the consumers. Now, although we've discussed the harm that diet culture spread through social media can cause, the early 2000s were a time where diet culture ran rampant through our TV shows, magazines, music, and movies. Not to say that diet culture does not still exist within many forms of traditional media, but we have social media where communication, like I said, is now a two-way street, and we on average utilize it more frequently in our everyday lives. In an article by Michelle Konstantinovsky titled, "If you survived the early 2000s without body issues, congratulations." Quick side note, I love that title. She explores the extremely fat-phobic cultural environment that was the early 2000s. Within her article, Konstantinovsky references a culturally iconic show that many of us know, and an unfortunately frequent occurrence of the use of diet culture to body shame women. She said, "Last week, a friend sent her a disturbing Instagram video recapping a main storyline from 2003's cycle of America's Next Top Model. Through a montage of clips, we see judges Tyra Banks, Janice Dickinson, and others critique, ridicule, and mock contestant Robin Manning's plus-size body. Even though she was probably only about a size 6, other clips have surfaced with the show's panel of judges using words to describe Manning, such as fat or huge during elimination deliberations. Michelle then goes on to share how the most shocking part of this clip is not the actual words themselves, but the remembrance of not finding this behavior harmful. As consumers of culture, we often want to fit in, which can lead to going to extreme lengths physically and in our shared opinions to align with the popular culture of the time. This big push in media to find anyone not thin enough unworthy didn't end with entertainment. In an article by Alice Sharman titled "Nothing Tastes as Good as Skinny Feels: The Damaging Consequences of 2000s Diet Culture," she speaks about the Special K diet in 2004. Now, I don't know about you, but I remember the Special K cereal's entrance into my household. As a cereal lover and a child who doesn't like cereal as a kid, I remember enjoying Special K so much because I could enjoy cereal as breakfast, as a snack, and it was still healthy. In her article, Charmin said, with the Special K diet, for example, Kellogg's famously claimed that you could drop a jean size in 2 weeks by replacing 2 of your meals a day with a bowl of their cereal. Launched in 2004, it was advertised on TV at prime time, legitimizing the practice of heavily restricting your calorie intake to lose weight. Now, this is just another example of those quick fixes that we've been talking about to achieve thinness and that healthy body, even though it could cause more harm than good. I don't know about you, but as a kid, the idea of getting to replace 2 of my meals with cereal seemed pretty good to me, even if I didn't know the reason behind it. This is another way that diet culture can unknowingly find its ways into our everyday lives and our psyches. Now, I know I've spent a majority of the time talking about the early 2000s, and that's because this was an era where we had access to more forms of media than ever, more than we knew what to do with. In an article by Jinsa Sarah Jacob and Niraj Panwar titled Effect of Gender and Age on Dietary Patterns, Mindful Eating, Body Image, and Confidence, they say that over the past 100 years, the portrayal of beauty standards has seen a significant change that was brought about by the pop culture era, popularized by motion pictures, so movies, nightclubs, publications like our magazines, and consumer goods companies that embraced body renovation. By the early 20th century, the depiction of attractive and slender figures in front page magazines, such as Cosmo Girl or Teen Pole, had exacerbated body insecurities, particularly among women who desired a thinner body type and wanted to be physically attractive to meet the unattainable beauty standards. Stronger perceptions of pop culture and a mostly unified societal idea of what is wanted gave people a goal to achieve in order to become as perfect as possible, and thinness was one of these ideals. Now, I do want to note that the ideal body or the perfect body did not just stop at celebrities. With the creation of the internet slowly starting to make its way into households more regularly, things like TV and movies that we watch becoming more accessible than ever, reality shows were on the rise, showcasing people who were just like us watching at home, normal people. This didn't stop diet culture from still infiltrating those types of media. Taking it back to the America's Next Top Model example that we spoke about before, it's a perfect example of seeing someone who has a normal body, again, probably around a size 6, and making that seem bad, making that seem heavy or fat, and it influenced the culture, making other people want to assimilate to whatever was quote unquote better than that. Like I mentioned at the beginning, these ideals of thinness and this push in media has not gone away. It's transitioned over to social media, only now there is a two-way street of communication. We're not just absorbing the content given to us, we have the ability to interact with it back. Although this can be difficult, it also gives us an opportunity to combat some of that behavior. Something that I urge others to do if you feel brave enough. Instead of just consuming media, we are now able to interact back with the media that we consume. This in a way kind of puts the power back in our hands to be able to combat diet culture and really take a second to think about some of the things that we see on social media promoting it. I want to thank you so much for joining me again this week on Diet in the Digital Age. Next week, I will be slowing it down and sharing a little bit more of my own personal experience and feelings on diet culture and its ties with social media as a sort of reflection. So I look forward to hopefully seeing you next week. In the meantime, I hope you have a great rest of your evening or your morning or the day, whatever time it is where you are. And I'll see you next week. Thanks so much.